Commander Zek Vorthak stood at the edge of the training arena, his four muscular arms crossed in what he considered a display of patient superiority. The Nexus Combat Academy's finest facilities stretched out before him, complete with gravity wells, plasma barriers, and enough advanced technology to make lesser species weep with envy. Today's lesson would be simple. Today, he would demonstrate why the Corthani Empire ruled the galaxy. Attention, cadets. Zek's voice boomed across the arena, causing several smaller species to flinch. His reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. Today we explore the art of close-quarters combat. As you know, my people have conquered 17 star systems through superior physical prowess alone. The assembled group of alien cadets nodded respectfully. Tall, scaled Vorthani warriors stood alongside insectoid Cliquesh scouts, gaseous nebulans in their environmental suits, and a handful of other species. But Zek's attention focused on the lone human in the back row. She was unremarkable by galactic standards. Average height, perhaps 5.5 feet tall. Brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Pale skin that looked fragile compared to his armored hide. Her name was Maya Chun, according to his roster, and she represented the newest species to join the Galactic Federation. Humans, they call themselves. Cute. Now then, Zek continued, pacing before the group with predatory grace. Who wishes to volunteer for a demonstration? Nothing too intense, of course. Just a friendly sparring match to show proper technique. The alien cadets exchanged nervous glances. Sparring with a Corthani instructor was like volunteering to be crushed by a falling asteroid. Zek was 7 feet tall, weighed 400 pounds of solid muscle, and possessed reflexes that could track a hummingbird's wings. Plus, he had those 4 arms. 4 very strong, very fast arms. Maya raised her hand. The arena fell silent. Even the nebulans stopped their constant whispering. Zek's smile widened, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Excellent, he declared, genuine delight coloring his voice. The human volunteers. How refreshing to see such enthusiasm from the newer species. Several instructors moved to the observation deck, drawn by the spectacle. Instructor Vex, a massive titan with skin like living stone, settled into a front-row seat. Commander Yila, whose aquatic species rarely showed emotion, actually perked up with interest. Even the ancient wise one, Keeper Thane, materialized from his meditation chamber to observe. Maya stepped forward, her movements fluid but unhurried. She wore the standard academy training uniform, form-fitting gray material that allowed maximum mobility. Her expression remained neutral, almost bored. "Tell me, little human," Zek said, circling her like a predator sizing a prey. "What combat experience do you possess? Perhaps your species has some interesting fighting techniques I should know about." Maya shrugged, a gesture that looked almost dismissive. "Oh, the usual stuff. Learned a few things growing up." Zek's laughter echoed off the arena walls. The usual stuff. Delightful. And what constitutes usual stuff for humans? Well, Maya said thoughtfully, my older brother taught me some basic moves when I was 12. Had to deal with a few bullies at school. Nothing too fancy. "Bullies at school," Zek repeated, his amusement growing. "How quaint. And this is your preparation for facing a Corthani warrior?" "Pretty much." The watching instructors exchanged glances. Instructor Vex leaned forward, his stone features creasing with concern. Even among the ruthless Corthani, Zek was known for his lack of restraint during training exercises. The Academy's medical bay had seen more than its share of cadets who had volunteered for his demonstrations. "Perhaps," Keeper Thane's ancient voice drifted across the arena, "we should establish some ground rules for this encounter?" Zek waved a dismissive hand. "Nonsense." The human volunteered. "I'm sure she understands the risks. Besides, this is just a friendly sparring match. What could go wrong?" Famous last words, Maya thought, but kept her expression neutral. "Very well," Zek announced, taking his position at the center of the arena. Standard Academy rules apply. First achieve submission or clear advantage wins. Medical assistance is available if needed. He gestured grandly to the medical station, where a team of multi-species healers waited with various regeneration devices and surgical tools. The sight of their readiness should have been comforting. Instead, it sent a chill through the watching cadets. Maya walked to her starting position, 20 feet away from Zek. She rolled her shoulders once, cracked her neck to the left, then to the right. These simple movements drew amused chuckles from several observers. Warming up, Zek asked, his tone dripping with mock concern. "Take all the time you need. I wouldn't want this to end too quickly." "Thanks," Maya replied pleasantly. "I'm good." The arena's combat system activated, casting a shimmering barrier around the designated fighting area. Holographic displays showed vital signs for both participants. Zek's readings indicated peak physical condition, elevated heart rate, suggesting excitement rather than stress. Maya's readings showed something interesting. Her heart rate was actually dropping, settling into a rhythm that suggested deep relaxation rather than pre-combat nerves. "Begin!" Keeper Thane's voice rang out. Zek immediately launched himself forward, for arms spread wide in a classic Corthani rushing attack. His species had perfected this maneuver over centuries of warfare. The technique used superior reach and overwhelming force to end fights before they truly began. Most opponents would be grabbed, lifted, and crushed before they could react. Maya didn't move. She stood perfectly still, watching Zek's approach with the same expression someone might, or while observing an interesting cloud formation. No fear, no tension, no sign of the adrenaline rush that should be flooding her system. Zek covered the distance in less than 2 seconds, his massive form bearing down on the tiny human like an avalanche. His lower arms reached out to grab her legs, while his upper arms prepared to seize her torso. It was a textbook maneuver, executed with perfect form and devastating force. At the last possible moment, Maya moved. She didn't dodge to the side or leap backward as expected. Instead, she stepped forward directly into Zek's attack. Her right hand shot out, fingers rigid, striking a specific point on his chest just below the sternum. The blow looked almost gentle, barely more than a tap. Zek's charge faltered. His eyes widened in surprise as his diaphragm seized, cutting off his air supply. The carefully coordinated attack collapsed into an awkward stumble as his body suddenly refused to obey his commands. Maya flowed around him like water, her movements now showing the fluid grace of someone who had spent years perfecting the art of violence. Her left hand found a pressure point on his neck, sending jolts of pain through his nervous system. Her right elbow drove into his kidney with surgical precision. "What the hell?" Zek gasped, trying to turn and face his opponent. "Sorry," Maya said, not sounding sorry at all. "Did I forget to mention? I might have downplayed my experience a bit." She ducked under his wild swing, came up inside his guard, and delivered a series of lightning-fast strikes to his solar plexus. Each blow was perfectly placed, designed to disrupt his breathing and balance without causing permanent damage. Yet, Zek staggered backward, all four arms windmilling as he tried to regain his footing. His reptilian features showed confusion and growing anger. This wasn't how the demonstration was supposed to go. Humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, easily dominated. "You tricky little creature," he snarled, his voice rough from the damage to his breathing. "Let's see how you handle real violence." He charged again, this time abandoning technique in favor of raw fury. All four arms swung in devastating arcs, each blow carrying enough force to shatter stone. If any of them connected, the fight would end with Maya's broken body being scraped off the arena floor. Maya watched his approach with the same calm expression. When he was close enough, she simply wasn't there anymore. She had moved to his left, somehow avoiding all four striking arms through what appeared to be minor adjustments in position. But the reality was far more complex. She had read his attack pattern, identified the gaps in his coverage, and exploited them with mathematical precision. Her counterattack was swift and merciless. She grabbed his lower left arm at the wrist and elbow, twisted her body, and applied leverage in a way that Corthani anatomy was never designed to handle. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the arena like a gunshot. Zek's scream of pain and rage filled the air as his arm bent at an impossible angle. The break was clean, professional, and thoroughly debilitating. He dropped to one knee, cradling his ruined limb against his chest. "Impossible," he wheezed, staring at Maya with a mixture of pain and disbelief. "You're just a human. You're supposed to be weak." Maya tilted her head, considering his words. "You know what your problem is, Zek? You assume that because humans are new to your little galactic community, we must be pushovers. You never bother to ask what we might have been doing for the past few thousand years." She began to circle him, her movements predatory and controlled. "See, while you Corthani were conquering star systems through superior physical prowess, we humans were doing something else entirely. We were killing each other. Constantly. Creatively. Efficiently." Zek tried to stand, but Maya's foot swept his legs out from under him. He crashed back to the arena floor, his broken arm sending fresh waves of agony through his system. "Do you know what we call someone who spent their entire life learning to hurt other people?" Maya asked conversationally. "A soldier. And do you know what we call someone who teaches soldiers how to be better at hurting people? An instructor. And do you know what I was before I joined your academy?" Zek's eyes widened with dawning understanding and fear. "I was a hand-to-hand combat instructor for the human military. Specifically, I taught Special Forces soldiers how to kill enemies twice their size using nothing but their bare hands." Maya smiled, and for the first time, there was something predatory in her expression. "Funny how that never came up in my academy application, isn't it?" The watching instructors sat in stunned silence. Instructor Vek's stone features had gone completely rigid. Commander Yila's aquatic form had turned a pale blue that indicated shock. Even Keeper Thane seemed at a loss for words. "This was supposed to be a friendly sparring match," Zek groaned, still clutching his broken arm. "Oh, it was," Maya agreed cheerfully. "If this had been unfriendly, you'd be dead by now. Want me to show you the difference?" "No." Zek's voice cracked with genuine terror. I yield. Maya stepped back, her demeanor immediately shifting from predator to polite cadet. "Good match," she said, extending her hand to help him up. "You got some solid technique there. Work on your guard a bit, and you'll be fine." Zek stared at her offered hand as if it were a venomous snake. "You broke my arm." "Just a simple fracture," Maya said dismissively. "Your medical team can fix that in about 10 minutes. I made sure to avoid the major nerve clusters." "You made sure?" "Well, yeah, I told you this was friendly. If I'd wanted to do permanent damage, I would have targeted your spine or gone for joint destruction. This was just a demonstration." The medical team rushed onto the arena floor, their various healing devices humming to life. As they worked on Zek's arm, Maya turned to address the watching instructors. "So," she said brightly, "when do we start the real training?" "Part 2, the revelation." The Academy's medical bay buzzed with activity as healers from 6 different species worked to repair Zek's arm. The Corthani warrior sat on a biobed, his reptilian features still showing shock and wounded pride. The regeneration matrix hummed around his broken limb, knitting bone and tissue back together with remarkable efficiency. 47 separate fractures, Dr. Helix announced, her insectoid eyes clicking as she studied the medical readouts. All perfectly placed to cause maximum pain while avoiding permanent damage. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Zek winced as the healing matrix pulsed. She said it was a friendly sparring match. "From a tactical standpoint," Dr. Helix continued, "this demonstrates remarkable anatomical knowledge. Your species' arm structure is significantly different from humans, yet she managed to exploit weaknesses that most of our own warriors don't know exist." Through the medical bay's observation window, Maya could be seen in the Academy's cafeteria, calmly eating lunch as if she hadn't just humiliated one of the most feared instructors in the facility. She was surrounded by other cadets, all of whom were keeping a respectful distance while stealing glances at the human who had done the impossible. "I want to know everything about her," Zek growled, his voice rough with pain and embarrassment. "Run a full background check. There has to be something in her files." Dr. Helix's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among her species. "Already done. The results are interesting." She activated a holographic display, showing Maya's Academy application. The document was surprisingly brief, containing only basic information about her homeworld education and stated reasons for joining the Galactic Federation. Maya Chun, age 26, Born on Earth in the Sol system, graduated from something called Stanford University with a degree in xenobiology. No prior military service listed. Joined the Academy to promote human integration into galactic society. Dr. Helix paused, her compound eyes reflecting the holographic light. On paper, she's exactly what she appears to be, a civilian scientist with no combat training. Then how did she do this to me? Zek demanded, gesturing at his healing arm. That's where things get interesting. I ran a deeper scan while treating your injuries. The human's muscle density is typical for her species. Nothing exceptional. Her bone structure shows no signs of genetic enhancement or cybernetic modification. By all physical measurements, she should be incapable of generating the force necessary to break your arm. Zek's eyes narrowed. But her neural patterns tell a different story. The brain scans I took during the fight show something fascinating. Her stress response was completely absent. No adrenaline spike, no elevated heart rate, no fear response whatsoever. Instead, her brain showed the patterns of someone engaged in a routine, practiced activity. Like what? Like someone who had performed the same actions thousands of times before. Someone for whom violence is as natural as breathing. Meanwhile, in the Academy's administrative offices, Commander Yila was having a heated discussion with Keeper Thane. The aquatic officer's normally calm demeanor showed cracks of frustration as she reviewed Maya's file. There has to be something we missed, Yila insisted, her gill slits fluttering with agitation. Humans don't just randomly develop that level of combat skill. It takes years of training, constant practice, and extensive knowledge of anatomy and physiology. Keeper Thane, ancient and wise, remained silent for a long moment. His species had been part of the galactic community for over 2 millennia, and he had learned to look beyond surface appearances. Perhaps, he said finally, we have been asking the wrong questions. Instead of wondering how a human civilian acquired such skills, we should be asking why those skills were necessary in the first place. What do you mean? Consider the human homeworld. We know relatively little about their history prior to achieving faster-than-light travel. What if their apparent lack of military experience in space is misleading? What if they have been preparing for warfare far longer than we realize? Yila's aquatic form rippled with unease. You think they're hiding something? I think, Keeper Thane said carefully, that we may have underestimated what it takes to survive on a world that produces beings like Maya-chan. Back in the medical bay, Zek was getting restless. The regeneration matrix had repaired most of the damage to his arm, leaving only residual soreness in his wounded pride. He stood up, testing his range of motion, and made a decision that would change everything. I want a rematch, he announced. Dr. Helix's mandibles clicked in alarm. Commander, that would be highly inadvisable. Your arm is still healing, and the psychological trauma of your first encounter might impair your judgment. My judgment is fine, Zek snapped. What's impaired is my reputation. Every cadet in the Academy saw me get humiliated by a tiny human. I need to restore the natural order things. And how exactly do you plan to do that? Zek's smile was all teeth and malice. By not holding back this time. The first match was a demonstration. The second will be a real fight. 20 minutes later, the Academy's main arena was packed with spectators. Word had spread quickly about the morning's events, and cadets from every species had gathered to witness the rematch. Betting pools had already formed, though the odds heavily favored the Corthani instructor. Maya entered the arena to a mixture of cheers and nervous silence. She had changed into a fresh training uniform, and her demeanor remained as calm as before. If she was concerned about facing an angry, vengeful opponent, she showed no sign of it. Feeling confident? Zek asked as they took their positions. His repaired arm moved normally, but there was something different in his posture. Gone was the casual arrogance from their first encounter. In its place was focused intensity and barely controlled rage. Always, Maya replied pleasantly, though I should probably mention something before we start. What? I lied about my brother teaching me to fight when I was 12. Zek's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Well, he did teach me some basic moves, but that's not where I learned to do what I did to your arm. Maya stretched her neck, the movement somehow more menacing than before. See, when I said I had to deal with bullies at school, I wasn't talking about other kids. Then what were you talking about? Maya's smile was sharp as a blade. I was talking about the adult humans who decided that a small girl was an easy target. The ones who thought they could take whatever they wanted because I was too weak to stop them. The arena fell silent. Even the background hum of the facility's systems seemed to fade away. And what happened to them? Zek asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. They learned that appearances can be deceiving, just like you did this morning. Maya's voice remained conversational, but there was something underneath it now, something cold and patient and absolutely terrifying. The thing is, Zek, when you grow up having to fight for your life against opponents who are bigger, stronger, and more experienced than you are, you develop certain skills, such as you learn to be very, very good at hurting people who underestimate you. Zek felt a chill run down his spine. You're trying to intimidate me. No, Maya said simply. I'm trying to give you a chance to walk away before I have to hurt you again. Because this time, you said it yourself, this won't be a friendly sparring match. The watching crowd held its collective breath. Instructor Vex leaned forward, his stone features showing concern. Commander Yila had gone completely pale, her aquatic form trembling with anticipation. Even Keeper Thane seemed tense, his ancient eyes fixed on the two combatants. I'm not walking away, Zek declared. I'm going to show everyone that this morning was a fluke. Humans are weak, and I'm going to prove it. Maya nodded, as if she had expected this response. Okay, but remember you asked for this. Begin. Keeper Thane's voice echoed through the arena. This time, Zek didn't charge. Instead, he circled Maya warily, all four arms ready to strike or defend. He had learned from their first encounter, adapting his strategy to account for her unexpected skills. Maya didn't move from her starting position. She simply stood there, hands at her sides, watching Zek with the same calm expression. But now, the observers could see something they had missed before. There was a predatory stillness about her, like a coiled spring waiting to be released. Come on, then, Zek taunted, hoping to draw her into an attack. Show me what you've got. You sure about that? Maya asked, because I meant what I said. This won't be friendly. I'm sure. Maya's expression shifted. The pleasant, almost bored look disappeared, replaced by something that made hardened warriors take an involuntary step backward. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight that hadn't been there before. My name is Maya Chun. I'm 26 years old. I have a degree in xenobiology from Stanford University. I joined the academy to promote human integration into galactic society. She paused, her eyes never leaving Zek's. What I didn't mention is that I spent 8 years in the United States Marine Corps before attending university. I was a force reconnaissance operator, specializing in deep insertion combat operations. The arena was dead silent. I have been trained in 17 different forms of hand-to-hand combat. I am qualified in the use of over 40 different weapon systems. I have conducted operations on 6 different continents and in space environments ranging from zero gravity to 3 times Earth normal. Maya's voice remained steady, but each word hit like a hammer blow. I have killed more people than you have conquered star systems. Zek's confidence began to crumble. You're lying. Am I? Let me tell you about the last person who thought I was lying. His name was Sergeant Rodriguez. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall, weighed 230 pounds, and had been in the Marines for 15 years. He thought it was hilarious that they were assigning a small woman to his unit. Maya began to move, circling Zek with fluid grace. He decided to test me. Cornered me in the barracks one night. Figured he'd show me my place. Do you know what happened to him? What? He spent 3 months in the hospital. Broken ribs, shattered kneecap, dislocated shoulder, and a concussion that gave him headaches for a year. And that was me holding back, because he was technically on my side. Zek's 4 arms began to tremble. You're trying to scare me. No, Zek, I'm trying to educate you. See, the problem with your species is that you think physical strength is the only thing that matters in combat. But strength without skill is just an accident waiting to happen. And you're about to have a very educational accident. Maya stopped circling and faced him directly. Last chance. Yield now, and I'll make sure you can still walk out of here. Zek's pride finally overcame his growing fear. Never. He launched himself forward, for arms striking in a coordinated attack pattern that should have been impossible to counter. But Maya was no longer there. She had moved to his right, somehow threading through his attacks without being touched. Her response was swift and merciless. She grabbed his upper right arm at the wrist, stepped under his guard, and applied a joint lock that sent him crashing to the ground. Before he could recover, she had twisted his arm behind his back in a position that would snap the bone if he moved. This is called a kimura, Maya said conversationally, as if she were giving a lecture. It's a submission hold that can be applied in about 15 different ways. The one I'm using will dislocate your shoulder if you try to escape. Zek tried to use his other arms to grab her, but Maya simply shifted her grip and applied more pressure. The pain was excruciating. Of course, if you keep struggling, I can always switch to a different technique. Would you like me to demonstrate an arm bar? Or perhaps a chokehold? I know several that can render you unconscious in under 10 seconds. I yield. Zek gasped, the pain overwhelming his pride. I yield. Maya immediately released the hold and stepped back. Good choice. As Zek struggled to his feet, cradling his injured shoulder, Maya turned to address the watching crowd. Her expression had returned to its previous calm state, as if the demonstration of lethal skill had never happened. Just so everyone understands, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the arena, humans didn't join the Galactic Federation because we needed protection. We joined because we were tired of being alone. But that doesn't mean we're helpless. We've been preparing for this moment for centuries, and we're not going to be anyone's victims. She looked directly at the assembled instructors. If you want to test us, that's fine. But remember that we come from a world where the only way to survive was to become very, very good at violence. We're not the weakest species in the galaxy. We're the ones who had to become strong enough to survive each other. Maya walked toward the arena exit, then paused and looked back at Zek. Thanks for the sparring match. Both of them. It was fun. As she left, the arena remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the implications of what they had witnessed began to sink in. Humans weren't the harmless newcomers they had appeared to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors. And now,